Welcome to Gomez Itchy Nuisance and a long overdue Warhammer Battle Report, literally years. This time, this is going to be a Warhammer Fantasy Battle 6th edition, and for those who may or may not still watch my channel and have kept up to date or not kept up to date, I've started getting back into Warhammer through 6th edition, and a couple of guys local, we've kicked off a podcast called Old World Fanatics. So this is sort of a dual branded. I don't know what's going to happen with the Itchy Nuisance YouTube channel. I'd probably rather at some point just merge it with what we're doing at Old World Fanatics. So if you haven't checked out our podcast, I'll leave a link or just search Old World Fanatics on Apple or Google Podcasts or Spotify. You'll find us, and yeah, we'd love to have you listen and subscribe. We chatted about this on this battle report on our latest episode, at least to date when I'm recording this. But I thought I'll put it back out just so we got the visuals. So if you have listened to that episode, I'll go a lot quicker through this. But you'll also see the pictures, I guess, of, my Tomb Kings, which are fairly, not a new army. I bought them when 8th died. Finally getting them painted up using Warhammer 6th edition as an excuse to do that. So let's kick off now. My opponent and I had played before, and we've been playing around with 2,000 point lists. And this is what I've ended up coming up with. Basically, I've got 2 bunkers of skeleton archers, 20 each, to sort of fly my Hierophant around into, which I'll get into in a minute. So out of my left flank, I've got one of those units just sort of, lined up against his left flank, which had which his Slayers and one of his Quarrelers were in. Then I've got the other bunker. It's got a banner, and my Hierophant is in there at the moment. I think the Hierophant he can reroll his incantations every turn, and he can fly. And then I've got a unit of 4 chariots with a Tomb King in a chariot. They've got a 5+ that Mirage standard with the 5+ ward save against shooting, and rerolling ballistic skill hits against it. And the Tomb King himself has the extra toughness, blip of toughness, I think it is, or the extra wound, whatever that other magic item is. Sorry, I think I was 7 games into 6th edition at this point, so I'm still not totally up with everything, as you will see. And he's also got the Chariot of Fire magic item, so D6 + 1 strength for impact hits on his chariot. And he also has that magic item that allows him to roll 2d6 and use the highest for his incantations. I think it's that one. Or, yes, that's right. It's that one. Screaming Skulls catapult and the casket on the hill, and a 16-man unit dead unit of Tomb Guard with just the Tomb Prince in there, and the Banner of the Undying Legions, which allows them to heal themselves. So that unit, the idea here was they're going to be quite self-sufficient. It was really a toss-up between the chariots going out on the flank or them. But what I'm trying to do with the chariots is get to a unit of something like Slayers, where I think I might be able to take them out in one turn and get into his backfield. You would have seen the Scorpions. I've got 2 Scorpions as well, and that's where I place them, right in front of his War Machines and 1 unit of Slayers. So yeah, he's basically got Quarrelers. Then, so his list is actually illegal when we were playing around. And he accidentally took 2 Lords, not really at 2,000 points, you couldn't do it. So, but it's a friendly game, we just racked up, and I make a massive boo-boo in the middle of the game as well. So, that's what you do when you're trying to learn. He's got an anvil, so Lord Runesmith, Rune Lord, or whatever you want to call it, on an Anvil of Doom. That cannon is actually proxied as a grudge thrower. So he's basically got 2 bolt throwers, 2 grudge throwers with runes. I'm not even going into the dwarves, but one of them's a +1 strength. One can re-roll the scattered dice, things like that. Unit of 12 or 13 Slayers there. And then on the hill he's got... So he'd played me before, and it was, he realised how big psychology is, because we're just still learning this. So this time he's got the Hammerers, which are the ones on the left. Sorry, Longbeards, with a banner that makes them immune to psychology, I think they had. And then his Hammerers, because they've got a Dwarf Lord in there, are immune to psychology. No, they're stubborn. Anyway, yeah, it makes them stubborn. So the idea is these 2 blocks are going to be quite immune to things like my Screaming Skull catapult. More Slayers out on his left, and then the Quarrelers, so they're facing off on my little 20 unit of archers. He gets the roll for the first turn, and just starts moving up a bit with his slayers. So again, last game we had, he did sort of do the dwarf thing and hold back, and didn't sort of, I guess, was a bit surprised with how much shooting I can get out with the incantations with the screaming skull and the archers. So I guess it's funny we flipped the table a bit where the dwarves feel like they have to at least get up in my face as well. So they move up. These other guys move up a little bit. And then he starts shooting. So again, this is part of the plan of this list he had, trying to slow down my chariot. So the anvil goes off and hits that unit, halving their movement, so stopping them doing a big charge, and also causing a wound. And then one of his grudge throwers comes in and blows itself up, or at least for a turn, or whatever it was. But his other one does hit, or bolt throw. One of them does take off a chariot. I think it only did that one wound because it's strength 8 or whatever. It took the chariot off. Quarrelers managed to kill a skeleton, and that was pretty much it. I think he did try to take some pot shots at the casket crew, but nothing happened there. Tomb King turn 1, I don't do a whole lot. I do move the Tomb Guard up because I've got to get them into the game. With their magic, they can also move. So they can move up to 12 inches if I get them, 8 inches if I get them magic off as well. And they can sort of come around the flank at some point. And the chariots just bump up a little bit because I can't do a big charge, even a magic charge with half my movement. I'm only going to go 8 inches. And then there might have been some shooting at his... yeah, so these archers are just trying to shoot at his slayers. So, I mean, my whole idea here, I wasn't going to go near those blocks of dwarves, the big guys with immunity. Fear's not going to, I'm not going to auto break them. Oh, I could auto break the, because one is stubborn. I guess I could auto break them, but I'd need to have a higher, win the combat, higher unit strength. So I don't outnumber them or anything. So I wasn't going to go in them with chariots, but I could go in to the Troll Slayers, which is the idea. So I'm trying to whittle them down. I know the toughness 4 against my strength 3 shooting, but double shooting them with the magic. I do manage over the next couple of turns to knock off a few of them, which is pretty important. My catapult in the magic phase is going off. I do make a hit, take out a bunch of dwarves. And then it looks like I've healed that chariot back. That's why I love playing undead. I've had my fair share of getting my ass kicked playing against vampires, so it's nice to see that Tomb Kings are quite competitive in 6, which is cool. Casket. Now this is proper normal shooting now because prior to that, the casket probably got dispelled. I don't think it did anything on the first turn. Then my actual shooting scatters, but does take out a couple of hammerers. Maybe a dwarf or 2 as well. So yeah, again, just, he's already lost like some of that last rank, so he just starts pushing 6 inches as fast as the little stunty legs can carry him. He gets that same anvil off, halving my movement. And then I think, yeah, there we go. He blow up, so you can see he did get a hit from, so that's the anvil actually, but this would be me holding the template for that left grudge thrower, and it misfires as well. So yeah, it's really weird. Usually the dwarves are really good at artillery, or they just go bad with lots of misfires. Bolt throwers or the other grudge thrower manages to get a hit, take out the chariot again. And then in my turn 2, I do manage to get one of my scorpions up the left one, and it goes, charges straight into that grudge thrower with an overrun into the anvil, because once I'm in combat with that, I can stop it doing that stupid half movement shenanigans. And yep, Tomb Guard are moving up. And again, I just reformed even more archers just to try and take off even more slayers. You can see so he's got, 8 left. So I have actually taken off, I think, 4 slayers on that unit. And maybe 2 in that other left unit there. As expected, I take the crew out of the Grudge Thrower there, and overrun into the Anvil of Doom with the Rune Lord in it, and hoping for a killing blow on that Rune Lord. And then, yeah, his turn 3 pushes up again. Basically, his idea was, just trying to make me charge one of them and hopefully get some flank charges, which you can see I screw this up in a minute, but we'll talk about that when I get there. Moving up again. And this was a hit and a scatter. Takes out the chariot again, even though I've healed one again. Yeah, but not, and then his bolt throwers are continually trying to hit this chariot unit and having to reroll hits because of the Mirage standard. He just basically didn't do anything. And then in the combat, we ended up ended up being a push. Basically, I kept whiffing the hits. Basically, I don't think we did any wounds to each other. I wasn't getting Google. Sorry, a Google thing just came up on my screen. I wasn't getting any killing blows, and then so I've actually lost the combat. I think twice I lost the combat by 1, but because it's construct, it doesn't crumble, so we just stay there. My turn 3, my other Scorpion comes up, misfires, and gets put right in the back corner of my deployment zone. And this time I decide to make the charge onto these Slayers. There's only 9 of them now. So I do charge the chariot, get it in, and I move up my unit of Tomb Guard to hopefully get a magic charge off, which I managed to do. I think he failed to dispel it. He did try, but just failed. And probably rolling too many ones or whatever it was a pretty bad roll. So yeah, I'd basically get that in there. So hopefully I can take those Slayers out in one go. And this is where I get it wrong. For some reason, either it's probably not even 8th either. I just brain dead, and I didn't do it deliberately. I just thought that once you overrun, you roll the distances and then you try and move. You sort of ignore your friendlies until if they can basically land without hitting each other at their end movement, which is actually wrong. So technically, I think the Tomb Guard would have had to overrun, which is fine, into the flank of the Longbeards, and the chariots be stuck and getting a flank charge. But it's not how we played it. And when we were talking to one of our other mates, chatting as well, we just sort of decided to both overrun and fudge the movement, which in hindsight is actually bad. But yeah, so I boo-booed that. He boo-booed two Lord choices, so it works out in the end, I guess. You can see the combat there in the middle, which is obviously a big pivotal combat for this game. Screaming Skull Catapults, just with magic and shooting, is doing its job, whittling those units down to something that is at least my skeletons aren't going to beat it, but can hold these things up a little bit longer. So I do reform those little block of skeletons there, and I got my Hierophant out of there as well. Scorpion still hasn't beaten the Rune Lord at that point, I don't think. Yeah, impact hits took off 4, and then I think the other magic fighting plus just the other combat ended up only killing 9 Slayers. So I did need that flank charge, and I still only just got them, which is kind of crazy. And there's the bad move that we shouldn't have done. So basically those chariots should have been able to get charged by those hammerers, which we did roll out later, or we'll talk through it, that there's a chance even with the Dwarf Lord he wasn't going to totally crumble that whole unit. So by then my Tomb Guard, because they do take those Longbeards out because of the flank charge, could have also come back around and started to get into that combat. So I think a bit more messier, and yes, I would have lost probably the chariot unit, but overall it probably didn't make a massive difference, but who knows. Slayers need to get in there. They are anxious to get into combat, so they go into those my other skeletons. I've obviously raised back a bunch of skellies there. I think I did double 6 it, so I raised up 6. So they're ready as well to take that charge, which they do. So the hammerers are in, at least trying to get to something. On his turn 4. Now these Quarrels, they're not doing much, so they're just going to move up and try and contest table quarters, basically. And I think finally at this point, by turn 4, I have Killing Blow his Rune Lord, but they stick around because they're unbreakable. yeah, those skeletons are maybe going to last another turn. Yeah, and the Dwarf Lord and his hammerers go to town on my skeletons. I guess my plan was to get my Hierophant in close combat, close quarter, like 12 inches away to try and heal them, but then actually screw that up and don't move in close enough. So Longbeards die, overrun by my Tomb Guard, and the chariots are heading for those one of those bolt throwers, which they do on my turn 4. In they go. And the Tomb Guard just turn around, ready for it, hopefully trying to get a magic off charge into there, which they failed to actually do. Obviously, throws every dice he can in terms of dispelling that, so they don't actually get in that turn. And then this is funny. My Screaming Skull had done a lot of hits, a lot of whittling down those big dwarf units, and the only target I had was a bolt thrower. And I even said maybe I shouldn't fire because I'm due for a misfire, and bang, I did kill my chariot, killed my Screaming Skull catapult. Yeah, at some point you got to just can't always bet on black. So those ones are gone. These guys do hold up. There's a bit of a whiff there happening where they just, he did kill a fair bit still, but not enough to crumble the whole unit. So he's stuck there now, and now he can't stop me charging. He can obviously stop me charging with the magic, but it's coming up to my turn. I can go in. The Scorpion, I moved up, but then I'm like, I'm not going to beat those Slayers. Why am I going to give him the points? So I just stay out of 6 inches. Again, just showing nothing's happening over here. He eventually, so that is his turn 5, sorry. So top of turn 5, he does destroy that unit, but there's no over, and he's just sitting there now. So now it's going to be my turn, and as I said, he can't stop that charge, which I go in. And yeah, could you see where my Hierophant is? I hadn't moved him over enough to actually heal those skeletons, so that was my fault. Bolt throw dies. And then I believe the other bolt thrower goes from the casket went off and destroyed that bolt thrower. So now those chariots are free in turn 6 to do something, I guess. And finally get the Amble crew. And then these guys take out a bunch there. Well, only really one, hammer it goes. And now the Dwarf Lord can actually fight. Because originally he couldn't because there was someone right behind him. The Quarrelers on his last turn, just reform again. Just take I think they're just sitting in the middle of the 24-inch line, so sort of straddling the table quarters. He destroyed. I challenged my champ. He's dead. But not much happened. But I ended up beating him. But he is stubborn, and then he rolls at 11, and it's just some really shocking rolls, and I overrun him and take his general as well. And then in my top of 6, fast have my chariots over to here, magic them in, and I think we did kill them all out with impact hits and magic attacks and stuff like that. So just wipe that unit. So that was the game. It was actually a big Tomb King victory, which is nice for me. But yeah, we had to still learn playing around and trying to remember all the rules. And I just got a major one wrong in the middle, and then he got one before he started, forgetting about the Lord choice restrictions. But in the end, the Dwarf Lord didn't play a whole lot of into that, so it probably didn't really matter. He would probably definitely have taken the Rune Lord and 2 Thanes if he could fit that in, because the whole idea was to try test out the anvil. So I think that worked pretty good, but it's just what to do with protecting war machines and trying to stop that charge into the Slayers. That was it would have been closer if I didn't do that silly overrun illegality, if the word is. But yeah, maybe not enough for dwarf victory or anything. But yeah, certainly need to learn to play these things better. Anyway, that's that game. But as I said, look, go to oldworldfanatics.com and check out some of our podcast episodes. I don't know what's going to happen with the channel, Itchy Nuisance, whether or not I keep putting battle reports on here, or we'll end up sort of, I don't know, repurposing my existing subscribers there. Because, yeah, we'd love to just, I guess, build up the Warhammer, viewership again as we approach the old world. Obviously, with the word old world fanatics, it's not a surprise what we are getting excited about, but, it could be still a whole year away or more. So we're going to play some Warhammer 6, maybe some WAPs, maybe some 8th, until we get there, and obviously have some armies ready to go. So If you liked it, yeah, obviously subscribe and share this. And yeah, check out our podcast. Thanks a lot for having a listen. Cheers, guys.